Hey guys, insight number 5, last one of the week. This kind of really wraps up the theme of this whole week for me, and I really love this, and I know I say I love that a lot. I really do. This is just so true of those that have developed that relationship with Christ. And if you've ever attended a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint funeral, where you see joy and laughter and crying and sadness and lamenting in the midst of Thanksgiving, and it's all at once, and you're like, what is this strange religion and these weird people? It's a good place to be, I promise you that. So let's look at some Psalms that really cover that. And we're not just the only church that does this. There's other funerals that, but I've seen it mostly at funerals, this whole mixing bowl of emotions that all happen at once. It can happen at weddings. Well, it seems to be those kind of events, but it can happen daily in our lives too. It's just that we probably don't notice it as much. We just seem to notice it in those big occasions. So think of this on a daily basis and see how this feels to you. So we're in 77. We're going to look at verse 3 and then 10 to 12. Now, again, this is just to the chief musician. It says a psalm of Asaph, but again, whether they were written collectively or not, it doesn't matter. These are still praises to the Lord. It's still food for thought about how our relationship with Christ is. All right, so verse 3. I remembered God and was troubled. I complained and my spirit was overwhelmed. Selah. So, I remembered God and was troubled. I complained and my spirit was overwhelmed. So they're remembering God, complain to God, or about God, spirit got overwhelmed, pause for thought. Let's fix this. And 12, and I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember the wonders of old. I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of thy doings. So the whole of verse of Psalm 77 really does talk about trusting and lamenting at the same time, and to pause and remember the character of Christ and the works of Christ. So can we actually trust and lament at the same time? Can we be sorrowful and yet still trust that the Lord's got our best interest at heart, even though he's just sent us something that's made us really sorrowful and crying, and that we're in a mess, not knowing what to do? Can we still do that and trust in the Lord at the same time, and then have joy at the same time? Yes, we can. We really can. So, we all get overwhelmed and feel heavy. That's all of us, for different reasons and at different times. Some of us are probably feeling it daily. Some of us just might be feeling it, for me it sort of hits around 3 in the afternoon when I really just want to go to bed early. But things that still need doing, like dinner needs cooking, the laundry needs finishing. I've got emails to reply to, and it's just this nuts kind of world sometimes, right? And again, COVID's made it all the much harder. Everything takes longer and everybody wants responses yesterday. So it's tricky. So choose to remember the works and character of Christ, because if you can remember what Jesus has already done and his character, that will help you have that hope and that trust. Remember what he's already done for you. Meditate on his work and talk of his doings, because that is going to strengthen your relationship with him. Absolutely. And where do you fit into his work? Have you actually asked him today where you fit into his work and what he would prefer you to be doing, or what he would like you to focus on? Because that's probably going to help you with that whole trusting, lamenting, and having joy all at the same time. When all these emotions crash into each other, are you actually, in the work that the Lord is performing, are you working with him? Or are you doing that whole, like we talked about at the beginning, not letting him lead you? Are you doing that, having those expectations that we talked at in insight number 3, where you're wanting this thing and he's like, actually, that's not where you're supposed to be. And instead of fighting over that steering wheel, just to let him drive, let him be the shepherd, let him take you where you need to be? Are you helping in the work that he wants you to do, or are you being counteractive to the work that he wants you to do? Yeah, think about that. It's okay to be frustrated, sad, and overwhelmed, etc. And you can still trust the Lord and find joy and peace in him and around you. You can actually do that. I testify to you that you can do that. I can't think of any specific examples off the top of my head, but, just in general of everyday life. No big examples, just in general. Yesterday, I had a stressful day. I love going to teach my institute class. Wonderful. So I was able to do that. But then I also had to go to the supermarket, and I don't like doing that anymore. That's not a fun place to be right now. Right? Anyone that does the grocery shopping, hands up who don't like it anymore. Yeah, it's me. And then I needed to get fuel, and because it's Wednesday here is the cheap day for fuel, they give you a 10-cent discount per litre, off per litre, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but somehow it makes everybody crazy for getting fuel. Because it's expensive and we want to save money because we don't have any right now. So just the craziness of that and the amount of traffic that was out, it really took its toll on me, and it destroyed the peace that I got. Because after I left teaching my institute class, I felt great. I felt uplifted with the Spirit. I was feeling joyful and trusting. It was great. By the time I got home, that feeling had gone because I had to go to the supermarket and the service station, and it was a mess in both places. And I came home, and then there was all these things that needed doing, which I could put off, but then I have to do them today, and I've got things I want to do today, and then I could put them off till tomorrow, but then there's things I want to do tomorrow, and it just builds up, and it's just better if you do a little bit, So just do the bare minimum, do a little bit, cooking dinner, made my husband some amazing soup, all great things. But I did feel that heavy. I did feel frustrated. I felt sad. I felt overwhelmed. Yet, in the middle of that lamenting, right in that moment of lamenting, I still trust the Lord and I still found joy. So yes, you can do all those things together on a daily basis. There are big occasions when you find that somehow easier to do. And it's the little everyday times that you find it harder to do in. So practice doing that, because it really will make a difference to how you are and how calm and grounded you are. And that is everything. Now, President Nelson, he said this amazing in his talk about Jesus and joy. And I just love this. So he says, when the focus of our lives is on God's plan of salvation and Jesus Christ and his gospel, we can feel joy regardless of what is happening or not happening in our lives. That goes back to those expectations, right? Joy comes from and because of him. He is the source of all joy. Jesus Christ is joy. And that is so true. Because the joy that I'm feeling, when I say I'm feeling joy, doesn't mean that I'm all happy and skipping around, but it means that I have hope in Christ and his plan. It means that I can feel better and not so overwhelmed and stressed inside. It's still there. I'm still feeling that. And last night I did have to take some medication for that feeling, but I also still have that joy. So I have that lamenting and that overwhelming, and then I have that joy and that trusting of Christ. And they're all in there together. And all of it's okay together. You can do it all together, and it's kind of cool when that works. Anyway, I've rabbited it on for too long because I love doing that. As you know, I'm a talker. So, good thoughts from this week's Psalms. Honestly, you're going to find some amazing stuff in there. Just pick something and read it. Pull out some one-liners, and you're just like, oh, I love this line. I love that line. And everyone's going to have their faves. Those are some of mine that I just really felt fitted that theme that I really loved around. We all have hard, we all lament, and yet we can trust and have joy in Christ. Simply put. All right. So, hope that helped. Hope you got something from this week. Thank you for joining me again. I will see you next week when we finish up our last week of Psalms with some more great one-liners and some more great lessons that we can take on board. Stay safe out there. Love you guys. See yous.